Hello, good morning, and welcome to this webinar organized by Luxinnovation on the ERC Work Program 2024. Maybe I wait 1 minute before starting the webinar, so everybody join, and then in a few seconds we'll start the program. Okay, so we have already several people online, so we can start the webinar. Good morning again, I'm Francesca Borrelli, and I am NCP of the IRC National Contact Point of the IRC program at Luxinnovation for Luxembourg. And today we will present you the work program 2024 of the ERC. I am part of the European RDI support team at Luxinnovation, and we are here in Luxembourg not only as national contact points, but also as delegated to the European Commission. So we take part to meetings on the work program. We try to support research organization and a private company here in Luxembourg with all needs related to the European funding, in particular to Horizon Europe program. And we try to understand as much as we can your needs, your priorities, to offer you the best support and also to tailor your needs and match with the opportunities of the EU funding. In particular, today, the agenda will be focused on the European Research Council program and on some of the novelties that are in this work program. So I will introduce the Horizon, and then I will go into details of the ERC. As you may know, the Horizon Europe program is the biggest European research and innovation funding for this funding period, which runs from 2021 to 2027. It's a program, a very big program of 95.5 billion euros, and it's also focused on advancing the policy of the European Union. And in this funding period, the two main policies are the Green Deal and the digital transition. Also, the Horizon Europe program is divided in 3 pillars. Pillar 1, where you find the European Research Council, is really focused on advancing research, groundbreaking research in all fields of research. So not with the priorities given by the European Commission. The Pillar 2 instead is the most near to the policy and priorities of the Commission, and in fact it's subdivided in 6 clusters, which have always topics top down, so you have to reply to topics. while the last one, which is symmetrical to pillar 1, dedicated to innovation and to deep technologies, and there are the European Innovation Council, where with the different programs really focused on innovation. But today we will talk about Pillar 1, European Research Council, and you see that it's a very big program of the European Commission, has 70% of the whole Horizon Europe, and with 16 billion budget for the period 2021-2027. The ERC has started its activities already in 2007, and was really funded and to focus on foster groundbreaking research in Europe and beyond, to advance the knowledge and the scientific achievements of European research communities. Even if there are no priorities set in the program, there are no research priority, the program worked very well so far, has achieved its objectives, and as you can see, several of the funded projects contributed anyway to the main policies of the European Union, the European Green Deal, the Digital Age, and EU4F. Some figures of the IRC, it's very interesting to see that in this year from 2007 already funded more than 13,000 projects, and more than 90,000 researchers and other staff worked on ERC grants. Is based on scientific advancement, has already produced more than 220,000 papers, articles in scientific journal, but not only, it's also in some cases related really near to companies and to the industrial system in Europe. In fact, has been estimated that more than 400 startups has been co-founded or founded by ERC grantees. And of course, as it's a scientific excellence program, there have been also 12 Nobel Prizes which were being awarded by ERC grantees, 6 Fields Medals, and more than 11 Wolf Prizes. And of course, other prizes that exist in Europe and worldwide. Now let's go into the details of the Work Program 2024 and its novelties. This year, the Council introduced some differences and some changes in the work program. Has been decided first that the project, the submission, the application will be very, very focused and evaluated on the base of research. So the evaluator will be asked to first focus on the research. And here they will assess if the project has really an innovative aspect, has a groundbreaking scientific production, it's ambitious, and of course, it's feasible. This will be the first thing that will be assessed in your application. Another important difference is the profile, the CV and the track records. Before was divided in sections, and now will be more open to, it's only a 4 pages CV, that it's more based on what you want to show, what have been your best achievements so far. We will talk about this more detail soon. Then a difference in the evaluation procedure. Has been decided that only 44 proposals will move to step 2. We will see also this in detail. And for the advanced grants only, the funding mechanism will be the lump sum and not actual cost. Regarding the panels, as you know, you have to select a panel when you submit a proposal to the ERC. There is a new panel in the social humanities, and this panel 8, studies of cultures and arts. And there are some changes in the description of the panel in life science 3 and 5 to better reflect the challenges that there are now. So after the evaluators will assess your, after or in parallel, will assess your project idea, An important feature of your application, in particular for the first step, is the curriculum vitae and track record template. Now, for those of you who are in Luxembourg and already worked with application with the FNR, you are already used to prepare a different CV, which is more the narrative CV. And this is in the same line that also the ERC is going. So you will have these 4 pages maximum, where one section, of course, is your education and employment. One section is research achievements, maximum 10. They have been clear, the ERCEA, the agency that manages all the ERC grants, that even if you put more than 10, the evaluators will be asked only to assess the first 10 research achievements. And where you, for each one of the achievement, is very much advised to explain why the 10 achievements or less that you selected are important for your application, and what was your role in the achievement of this research output. Another important section that you can give details is the peer recognition, when you can insert a list of prizes or fellowship, or also if you are part of some communities where you can list this. And at the end, also in the 4 pages, you have to give additional information, for example, on career breaks, life events, or other contribution to the community. As you can see, it's very good that the starting grant and the synergy grant are already open. You can already familiarize with the template. And here in our presentation, you have all the links to the new forms. So already here you have a link where you can see in the section B this new template. And also there are the instructions on the template. So you can see for each one of these sections what you have to insert. Very important, this can be maximum 4 pages. Always for the application of the European funding, you have to stick to the limit of the pages. Yes, this briefly, if there are people submitting under the advanced grant, the budget will be different. The budget will follow the lump sum funding model, and the budget will be defined upfront based on the estimated cost. What the panel will evaluate also the budget, and if it's not completely justified, of course, can cut this. But the important thing is to understand that this budget is completely related to the activities of the project. So in case one of the results is not possible to achieve in your project, this doesn't impact the budget, the percentage of budget that you will receive. As always, at the end of the project, you will submit you have to submit as PI how much you have spent of the budget on the base of the activities that you performed. So if you perform all activities, you can have 100% of the budget. If some activities during the lifetime of the project have been reduced or not carried out because something changed during the project, then you might receive less. But anyway, it's not at all related to the achievement of the project. Another important thing is the evaluation process. Before, there were budget multiplier for the starting, the consolidator, and the advanced grant. This time, from now on, only maximum 44 proposals will be passed to step 2 for each one of the panel. 44, it's a maximum, and of course, if there are less proposals that reach a level that is for step 2, there will be even a less proposal. But in a case, unfortunately, where there will be more of 44 proposals that will receive an A score, the panel will decide which are the ones that are invited to step 2 and which are the A not invited to step 2. The A not invited to step 2 don't have any restriction to submit again the following year. Of course, it will be another evaluation. They will not pass directly to with an A. It will be evaluated again. Of course, there are restrictions. This will be explained later in my presentation for those of you who already applied in the previous years. Now we see the different grants. There are 4 and then 1 grant that can support principal investigator to develop the proof of concept. The different main grants, they are not linked to your age or any other personal information. They are just related to your career stage and from also the distance from your PhD defense. There is the starting grant, of course, for PI that want to establish their team and their research program. Consolidator grant for those who have already some independence and want to consolidate this. And of course, advanced is for established and leader principal investigators. The synergy grant can accept all type of principal investigators. Next slide, we will see in details which are the eligibility rules for each one of the grant. So we have for the starting grant, as I said, it's for a principal investigator starting their own research team or program. Still, you have to show that you are able to do your research independently of the supervisor. So one thing that will be taken into account when they assess your CV and track records, that you have at least 1 important publication as main author or without the participation of your PhD supervisor. This is really to show that you can implement a project on your own. Of course, in the track record, you can show other research outputs that will give further evidence that you are able to implement a research program. The maximum duration of the grant is 5 years for a maximum of 1.5 million. There are additional funding up to 1 million, and these are always possible to add this 1 million, for example, for research investigators that come from third countries and will move to European Union member states or to associated countries. So there are these possible additional funding, or for accessing some infrastructure, or for buying some equipment that is not budget for different reasons, cannot be budget in the main budget. The funding is the actual cost. As I said, this grant is open, and here you have already the links for the funding portal and for the guidance, the documents by the SEA, the agency that manages. Consolidator, it's the step after the starting grant. Here you have you have already showed some research independence, and so you have to consolidate. You want to consolidate your research and team. Also, maximum period of 5 years, but up to 2 million, and always the additional funding. The additional funding is possible. The advanced grant, while here it's already established. The principal investigators already showed a lot of track, and the project that they can submit is for 5 years for a maximum of 2.5 million. Difference here is the type of funding, which is lump sum. And finally, the synergy grant. The synergy grant is completely different from the other grant. This is for a group of minimum 2 and maximum 4 innovative investigators, and the group should prove that only the complexity and the ambitiousness of this program, the project that you will submit, is possible to be achieved only with the synergy and the work of different PIs. Is also the funding is, as the project has to be very ambitious, the funding is different and it's more important. In fact, it's up to 10 million and the additional funding is up to 4 million. This is also open, this grant. Yesterday, it's already on the funding portal, so you have the link to the funding portal and also to administrative form. I already checked and you can see that the CV and the track record is the same as the starting grant. So also for consolidator and advanced grant, when it will be published, I expect that CV and track record section is the same. So you can check already if you are looking for consolidator or advanced grants which are not open, you can already check the section B, which is related to the CV, and understand how to build the CV. The eligibility rules. These are very important for the starting grant and the consolidator grant because they are linked to the PhD defense, not the PhD award date, defense date. So for starting grant, you should have defended your PhD between the 1st of January 2017 and the 31st of December 2021. While for consolidator grant, it's between 7 and 12 years from your PhD defense, and so you should have defended your PhD between the 1st of January 2012 and the 31st of December 2016. For the advanced and the synergy, there is no specific criteria. So whatever is your career stage, you can always apply for advanced or synergy grant. So as the ERC grants are very competitive and very ambitious projects, the Commission and the ERC, the agency, expect that each principal investigator spends a minimum amount of time on these projects. These changes between the different grants, and for example, for the starting grant, it's 50%, for the consolidator grant, it's 40%, and for advanced and synergy, it's 30% for each one of the principal investigators. Also, it's expected that you spend at least 50% of the time in a European Union country or associated country. There are rules for and limits, some restriction for submission. If you already participate, you already submit an ERC application in 2022 or 2023. And on the base of the result that you got from the evaluation of your proposal, you can see in this table if you can in the 2024 work program. For example, let's imagine that you submit in 2022 a starting consolidator advanced and you got a C, you can still not participate, but you have to wait the work program 2025. While if you submit in 2023 but got an A or B at step 2, you can submit. Contrary, if you got a B or C at step 1, you cannot submit. And similarly, for the synergy grant, if you got a C at step 1, it's you cannot submit this work program. You have to wait for the next one. This table is very important for you to understand because this changes progressively from one work program to the other. So this is important also for you to understand and to think when you want to submit, especially if you are in starting and in consolidator. We would advise, for example, that you submit not the last year of your of the starting or of the consolidator, but 2-3 years before, so to have more chance if you are interested in that specific grant scheme. Also, there is a calendar, so the work program has been adopted at the beginning of this week. So you can see that there are already deadline for the opening of the calls and the submission of the calls. The starting grant, as I said, and the synergy grant are open, both. The starting grant is the first deadline, so quite soon. The ones of you who are thinking for submitting this year really have to work a lot this summer to have a proposal ready, 24th of October, while for the synergy grant is the 8th of November. For the consolidators, it's still this year. It will be at the end in December, at the end of the year, while the advanced grant is next year. So there is a lot of time. The proof of concept grant is this additional money that you, principal investigator, can get if they have already another main grant. The main grant are these four that they can get for demonstrating a proof of concept of the results of the research program. And there are, in general, before there were 3 cut-off dates, and now there will be 2. There are, of course, in the work program also clearly stated the budget and the timelines when you will be informed about the outcome of the assessment. The budgets are for each one of the grant is stated. It's 600 million for the starting grant, 400 for the synergy grant, and the numbers in brackets indicate how many projects they are estimated to be funded. These are the timeline when you will be informed about step 1. For example, the starting grant will receive information about step 1 in around or on the 10th of May 2024, and final decision in August 2024 for a starting of the grant by the end of next year, and so on for the different grants. Now, the last part where I want to explain a little bit the evaluation process, so how it works once you submit your proposal. Okay, now you should be able to see, I hope, the slide on the evaluation steps. Yes. Step 1. Step 1 is very important to understand that only B1 section of the application will be evaluated. Only on the basis of part B1, the panel members have read and evaluate your proposal, they meet and they decide the proposal rejected and the proposal retained for step 2. The proposal rejected are the ones that got B, C, and also A not invited. While for the retained one, they will go to step 2. At step 2, the panel members plus remote reviewers, if they are involved, will assess the full proposal, B1, B2, and the budget details. There are the panel meetings where you will be invited for the interview that will be remote for you, for the applicants, while the panel members meet all together in Brussels. At the end of the interview, there will be a ranked list of proposals where there will be A, B, and funded projects. So this is overall how it works. There is a difference for the synergy grant where there are 3 steps, where this is step 1 is actually step 2. So there is a first step 1, or we can talk step 0, where there will be only a presentation and the panel members are evaluate the proposal on the basis of this presentation. So it's a little bit different, but for starting, consolidator, and advanced, this is the process. Finally, very important, when you have to submit for the ERC, you have to select the panel selection, the panel where you want your application to be evaluated. There are 3 main categories of panel: life science, science and engineering, and science and humanities. As you can see here, SH8 is the new panel, and it's very important that you select the panel on the basis of which are your experience and your profile and the research project. There is no interesting in looking for panels which are less successful or these kind of things, because each one of the panel has the same success rate. What does it mean? It means that on the basis of the submission to the different panels, the ERCEA will allocate different budget. So more proposals are submitted, I don't know, under PA11 materials engineering, more budget will get this panel. This is really to have a fair competition under all panels. So at the end, you will all have, I don't know, for all panels, 5% success rate, 6% success rates, but this will be across all panels. So select the one that really reflects your profile and the research, the focus of your research project. Some recommendation, and this is what also the expert of the ERCEA always repeat. So first is something that you have to ask yourself, the first two parts, on your research project. What will check the evaluators? If your project is innovative, if it goes beyond the state of the art, and which is the gap of in your field of research that is going to tackle. If the project is important, so if you have a vision why it's important for the research, for your research field, if it's feasible, of course, if in the lifespan of your project it's possible to carry out the task, if it's timely, because of course, imagine you submit a proposal, you have submitted already a proposal in 2022, where some advancements were not yet done, and now you are thinking if you want to resubmit the same thing in 2024, you have to check that it's still something relevant, that no major advancement in the research has been made, so it's still timely. If you have a good knowledge of the risk associated to your project and you have alternatives, you can manage the risk. And of course, very important for starting consolidator and advanced grant, it's not a collaborative project. You have to lead. Of course, you will state that you have collaborators where something you can always have support from other people, and you have your research team. But it has to be clear that you are the leader and you will carry out the project. Of course, the work plan has to be clear and all activities related to the main research aim. Also, you have to be very conscious of your career stage, and if you are at your career stage, if you are competitive with your peers. So we are not asking that, they are not asking that a principal investigator in the starting phase should be competitive with the principal investigators in advanced grant, but of course with the peers, so with the people that are at the same stage of career, you should be competitive, internationally recognized, and that your scientific capacity is already shown in the CV. On the step, as I said, the step one is only B1 is evaluated. So this you have, I wrote here the wow effect in the sense that you have to catch the interest of the evaluators. This has to be a standalone application with no jargons, and because it might be read also by generalists at this stage. And really, you should leave should be so interesting that the evaluators want to read the B2, so want you to go to step 2. For the step 2, instead, you have to go into details. This is where you have a B1, B2, and the budget detail. All the budget is very explained. Very important, do not repeat the B1, because it's limited space also in B2. B2 will be 14 pages, only 15 for the synergy, and B1 has already 5 pages. So use the pages that are B1 and do not repeat. This evaluator expect a detailed methodology, work plan, of course, all risk mitigation strategies, These are often some of the comments why projects fail, because they didn't take into account very good the mitigation strategy related to the different risks. You have to justify your research team and the budget. Attention with the budget, please justify all the costs, because there is no negotiation on the budget. What does it mean? That if some costs are not explained well, the evaluator might decide to cut this cost, and then you received, for example, your project, you are funded but with less budget. You cannot negotiate the budget. Remember to include the funding for the open access as the ERC, but all the European funding schemes are obliged to follow the open science policy, so you can you can budget the cost for the open access, of course, for fully open access journals. The interview, imagine you are at step 2, don't stop the preparation there, prepare in advance. You are the most expert in your project, so you know already which can be the question that your interviewer might have. You know if there are some weaknesses or something that maybe are not completely recognized by all evaluators. So prepare the question in advance. You are the one that know better and can prepare at the best. These are people like you, are scientific people, are not people that look for a business case. They really want to know how you are going to implement your research project. You have to go there to the interview with the open and the very good spirit and willingness to give the information. The interviewer will make the expert, will give you questions because they want to know more and not because they want to penalize you. So these are the last thing. There are some information about us, Luxinnovation. So we are the funding agency here in Luxembourg. And for organization in Luxembourg, we are hoping to and trying to support you at the best with some webinars like today, but also personalized support. And even at the grant stage, if you are awarded, we can still support you. So get in contact with us. We are more than happy to help you. And here I will leave anyway, the presentation will be available, and there are the resources from the ERC. Very important, there are some videos on YouTube, the ERC classes. Look at them, they are very short videos of 5-7 minutes, but very interesting, where you get some keywords that make you understand how to better prepare for the application, and also other links that can be interesting. Okay, so I think that we can stop now with the presentation, and we are here for your question. We can stay still here for some time. So if you have question, please better if you put in the question tab, so we can see it better, because the discussion already had some text. Of course, other the normal. I think I can stop here. This. What else? Of course, this is a very competitive proposal, and what we also advise very much is that you have already your colleagues and your peers to be willing to read the proposal. This is an exercise that you will do alone for, but really be open and be available to have your proposal read by people that understand your research, but can give you very good feedback. So it's not a collaborative proposal, it's really your proposal. Of course, I understand it can be difficult to share with people, but it's really the winning, one winning aspect can be to really engage with your peers, with people that you write in general scientific articles, with your, of course, supervisor, us, the grant office, ask to review the proposal. And of course, we are not expert in your fields, but we can give feedbacks on clarity, also things. And for the scientific part, while ask especially your peers. I have a question regarding the host institution. Are we able to change the host later, or do we have to stay with the host which we put in the proposal? It's very clear that the ERCEA wants to make the the grant of the ERC portable. So this means that you can change institutions during your project. Of course, the award is given to the institution. Then you have to negotiate with your institution how to move to another institution. But yes, it's possible, and it's something that the ERCEA, the managing agency, always repeats. The pre-financing of the advanced grant can be up to 80%. If I'm not wrong, we have to see when there will be the guidelines. So it's still very generous. So actually you get most of the funding at the beginning. As I said, if you are not able for any reason to deliver all the activities in the work plan, you might have to give some budget back, but if you will carry out all activities, then you can claim also the rest. Can be 20, 15, 25, depends how much has been given. But in general, it's the most part of the budget you get upfront. Yes, there are in the work plan. There are some information on the extension of the eligibility in the case of starting and consolidated grant. In particular, for maternity leave, 18 months is given automatically for each child that you have. So you can add for 2 kids 3 years actually. Yes, for starting grant and 2 kids, exactly. It moves from 7 to 10 years. Exactly, you're right. Yeah, of course, the ERC, it's as the grant is awarded to the institution, to the host institution, you have to agree the submission of your proposal upfront. So it's true now. I am at Luxinnovation. I don't work for any of your institution, but you have to talk with the grant office and to ask to have approved for this work program. If it's too late, then you have to go for the next work program. This information that you have 90% valid also next year. So it's I don't know if for advanced it's already closed. I can imagine that some institution might have closed already for the starting grant. This is possible, but get in contact with the host institution. Either it's your host institution or it's the one you are targeting. So get in contact and have to give the support letter. If you don't get the support letter, you cannot submit. I don't know if I think I replied to all questions, and you have here our emails, of course. Even after this presentation, you might have further question. Just send us an email. I received a couple of more. So in case a project idea could fit in 2 different panels, what is your advice for which one to choose? Choose the one most near to your profile. So if it's something related to mathematics and environment, and you are a mathematician, choose the one more near to mathematics. And if the panel thinks that then they have to put also something on environment, on materials, they will add. So choose the one that is more near, because it has some advice from other experts that the panel that you will be from, that will evaluate you, it's good that is the one, is a panel near with your mindset. So it's better if you are a mathematician that you are evaluated by a mathematician, if you are an engineer that you are evaluated by engineers. Of course, if it's really cross border, the ERC panel can decide to add some reviewers from other panels. But this, you can choose one and then they decide if they add another panel. Some people working on multidisciplinary topics could write a project for an ERC starting grant falling into different bodies. Yeah, this is more or less the same. So choose, it's, often it can go under different panels, but choose the panels with, that is of course related to the project, to the research project that you present, but it's more near to the profile. This is an advice. Choose the really, don't choose on the base of other criteria, which is not the best match for you and the research project. Okay, please answer my question, Martin. I thought it was this. Is there information on the number of proposals submitted by year and the success rate per topics? Yes, definitely. On the ERCEA website, so on the ERC website, there are all the submission numbers and success rate. In general, can be from, I saw latest now, I don't know for which one you are interested, but I think it's around 11-14% for the starting, and the consolidator should be around this. Maybe advanced is a little bit less, but between 11 and 14. The success rate, yes, it's always the same per panel. It's this is clear from the agency. They will give more budget to the panel which receive more proposal. A question on eligibility, assuming I want to apply for a consolidator grant. No, if you have, you have strict deadlines. If your PhD thesis is not in this window that they declare possible for the consolidator, even if it's 1 month, so it was 31st of December 2012, I don't remember now the date, but no, it has to be by the 31st of December of the year indicated in the eligibility rules. Even if it's January, I'm sorry, you might be out of the eligibility. Okay.
Francesca? Yes, so sorry. To clarify, it's not the date of the award, but it's the date of the defense. And I've not done my PhD here in Luxembourg, but it can vary from country to country. So make sure that you consider the date of the defense when you think about the eligibility.
Okay, so I think now I don't see more question coming in the question tab.
There's an extra one, sorry if jump in, from the discussion tab. It's what is the success rate after you passed step 1?
I have to check if there are also these kind of indication, but it will change because as there is no more the the budget multiplier criteria, it will be maximum always 44. Then it depends on the budget, on all the other, not on the budget, but on all the panel, how many they will fund. I don't know if there is this indication after step 2. There might be in this statistic that also Florian put on the chat. Anyway, there are all the information are on the website. You can check them, and it gives an indication of the success rate. Of course, it's clear there are very competitive calls, but if your research idea is valid, it's groundbreaking, it's advanced, and you have capacity to progress on this and bring the results declared in your application, I mean, you have a good chance to be funded. Okay, Stefan, do you see any other question, or we can stop here?
No, I don't see any last minute question. Let's give like 30 seconds more for the last minute. You see.
If after the PhD defense some minor modification were required, which date do we have to take into account? The last one. So it's really the defense date. If minor in general modification, then it will be another date where you have your defense date. So I think in case you have to ask also with your institution if the date remains the same in the certificate of your defense, then unfortunately it will be that one. But in general, when modification are asked, even if minor, should be then the date where the PhD is accepted, unless it's different. But ask to the university or where you are to be sure about that. They told us that in general it's so it's the successive date where then it's accepted. But it also depends on your host institution. So proposals scored B and C, of course, we can go back on the do not receive funding, that's for sure, but you can even, on the basis of the score, in some case, you can not submit for this next work program. For example, imagine that you submit a starting grant last year in the work program 2023, and you got B or C at step 1. So step 1, the evaluators assessed only B1. If you got B or C, you cannot submit this year, okay, for this year, for this working program. Because for advanced, for example, is next year, the submission. But for the work program 2024, you cannot submit. While if you got a B at step 2, so at the step of the interview, you can submit. So it really depends at which step you got the score. Because if you got B or C at step 1, you receive the feedback immediately. You don't receive the feedback at step 2. While here, if you receive the feedback A or B at step 2, then no restriction. And this is the same for starting, consolidated, advanced. It's a little bit different for the synergy because there is another step for the synergy. So this is very useful to understand also this because, of course, if you are towards the end of the starting grant period, you might think If it's the last year, okay, you submit, you are not entitled. But if, for example, you are in the last 3 years, then it would be good that you submit in the last, let's say, 3 years from the deadline from the window range, so that if you get, for example, a BRC at step 1, then you have 1 year where you stop, and then you can submit again. Also, this calculation, I mean, as we said, the research project has to be timely, and sometimes maybe the next year it's not valid anymore. So when you feel ready, when you're proposing feedback from your peers that it's valid, it's feasible, then you have to go. Okay, thank you so much for participation. We are really happy to have you today. And yeah, in case you need further information, write to us and you will get all the slides as soon as possible. Thank you so much. I think we can stop here. Bye.